Welcome to the last in the series of the summer reading programme. This story that I'm about to read to you is called The Curious Garden. Okay. This was chosen for me for some reason by all my colleagues here. I have no idea why, and he also told me to dress in some very old clothes. And again, I have no idea why. Okay, so if I can just introduce it's Annette, Trish, Matilda, and Mari. And they are going to help me do the actions.
So you.
Okay. So, like I said, this is called The Curious Garden.
One says no.
Okay. There once was a city without gardens or trees or greenery of any kind. Most people spent their time indoors. As you can imagine, it was a very dreary place. However, there was one boy who loved being outside. Even on drizzly days, while everyone else stayed inside. You could find Liam happily splashing through his neighbourhood. It was on one such... It was on much... It was on one such morning that Liam made several surprising discoveries. He was wandering around the old railway, thank you, as he did from time to time, when he stumbled upon a dark stairwell leading up to the tracks. The railway, thank you, had stopped working. You can join in with the railway bit, by the way. And stopped working ages ago. And since Liam had always wanted to explore the tracks, there was only one thing for a curious boy to do. Liam ran up the stairs, pushed open the door, and stepped out onto the railway. The first thing he saw was a lonely patch of colour. Wildflowers and plants were the last thing he had expected to find up there. But when he took a closer look, it became clear that the plants were dying. They needed a gardener. Liam may not have been much of a gardener, but he knew he could help. So he returned to the railway the very next day and got to work. The flowers nearly drowned. And he had a few pruning problems. But the plants patiently waited while Liam found better ways of gardening. As the weeks rolled by, Liam began to feel like a real gardener. And the plants began to feel like a real garden. Most gardens stay in one place. But this was no ordinary garden. With miles of open railway, the garden was growing restless, and it wanted to explore. The tough little weeds and mosses were the first to move. They popped up further and further down the tracks and were closely followed by... Yeah, that's okay. And were closely followed by the more delicate plants. Over the next few months, Liam and the curious garden explored every corner of the railway. After spending his spring, not that sort of spring. Spring is where the winds blow and it rains a lot. After spending the early part of the year and summer and autumn with the garden.
Oh my God. Why is it a sword fight?
Liam's time on the railway was finally interrupted by winter. Heavy blankets of snow fell on the city that season, and for the first time since he'd become a gardener, Liam could not visit the plants. Can we just hang on a minute? Can you just talk amongst yourselves for a second? To continue.
They're gonna hang out trees.
Liam could not visit the parks. Rather than waste his winter, worrying about the garden, Liam spent it preparing for spring. Wrong spring. It's when the winds blow and it rains. Hang on a minute. Right. After 3 cold months, the snow finally began to melt. And Liam rode his 2 garden over to the railway.
Whoa!
Winter had taken the toll on the But thanks to Liam's planning, his handy new tools, and a little help from the sun, the plants soon awoke from their winter wanted to explore the rest of the city, and that spring, when the winds blow and it rains, it was finally ready to make its move. Once again, the tough little weeds and mosses set out first. They popped up further and further from the railway and were closely followed by the more delicate plants. The garden was especially curious about old forgotten things. A few plants popped up where they didn't belong.
Boing.
No, that's correct.
Well, I was wetting anyway.
That's okay.
You just want to do it.
Others mysteriously popped up all at once. But the most surprising thing that popped up were all the new gardeners. I was about to say this is the end, but I just haven't been given an update. However, there is one final thing to say. That summer, the wind blew all the leaves off the tree. There was a heavy snowfall. And, of course, it rained and rained and rained. The end. Thank you very much.